Afternoon, Rotarians. Bob, you weren't paying attention.
Hi, Jim.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, Jim.
See, I knew I'd catch you. It took me 10 months to catch you, Bob, but I caught you. Welcome to the May 28th meeting of the Rotary Club Des Moines, the last meeting of May. I am your president, Tim Lilwitz, as Bob said, for about another month until President-elect Josh Braby takes over. I heard that, Bob. Scott Bennett will give our moment of inspiration here in a second, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the four-way test, and then as tradition, we will greet our fellow Rotarians. So, Board Member Scott Bennett.
Thank you, President Tim, and good afternoon, Rotarians. Like many of you in the room here, I find great value in financially supporting as well as serving on nonprofit boards. But I've found that I have a personal need to include a different kind of service in my life, a desire to serve what I call at the grassroots level, doing the quiet hands-on work that keeps an organization moving. That desire recently took me back to my roots. Back in high school, I worked at the McDonald's on Ankeny Boulevard. And yes, it's still there 45 years later. At the time, the men's and women's uniforms were 100% polyester, John Deere, green and yellow. Women wore yellow and the men wore green. And I'll never forget my grandma, the first time she saw me in my uniform, she said, "What a wonderful, handsome new leisure suit that you have." And just what a 16-year-old wants to hear. Today, as I volunteer at the Mercy Ronald McDonald House, I've been reunited with an old Ankeny McDonald's friend, the industrial yellow mop bucket. While I do whatever is needed at the house, I often find myself behind the mop. There's something uniquely grounding about doing that work without needing to be in the leadership room. When I'm mopping those floors, I'm not worried about the budget or the 5-year plan. I'm focused on one thing, a family coming back to the house after a grueling day. Making sure that that floor is clean, I'm contributing to a sanctuary, a safe and welcoming place for a family whose child is fighting to start their life. To me, this is a pure expression of service above self. It's the realization that no task is too small when it contributes to the mission so much bigger than yourself. While I'm volunteering, I've had the privilege of working with and observing the staff. Especially, I just want to recognize Rachel Armstrong, who's the house manager at the Mercy location. She and her team are largely 20 and 30-year-olds, and they are some of the most impressive and dedicated individuals that I've ever been associated with. They're laser focused on the parent and child experience. Their creativity and energy is incredible, and I often think that if this level of focus were applied more broadly for our world today, we would be in a much better place. Writing a check is vital, including to the Rotary Foundation. I want to encourage you all to continue to support that. But I also want to encourage you to find a way to be physically present in volunteerism. There's a different kind of fulfillment that comes from rolling up your sleeves and getting your hands, or in my case, the water, a little dirty in the service of others. So if you've been looking for one way to re-energize your spirit of service, I can't recommend the ground floor view high enough. Whether it's at Ronald McDonald House or another organization close to your heart, I encourage you to find your own mop bucket. With that, say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the four-way test.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And greet your fellow Rotarians.
Good job, Scott.
Hey, Harvey.
Hey, Harvey, how are you?
send her the photo on a holiday.
By text.
I told him you were screening his photos.
Well, I think it was the first look at because it's in Guthrie. My apologies.
All right, as we return to our seats, Bob just wanted to let you know that Ganesh approached me during that and said you're fined $20 for yelling at me. So we'll make sure to collect that. As is tradition, we will announce and greet our guests that are with us today, and we have 4 of them. First, up here at the head table, we have Caroline Baker, the Volunteer and Community Engagement Coordinator at the Ronald McDonald House Charities, and a guest of our speaker. You can stand up, Rachel. Sorry. Or sorry, not Rachel, Caroline. Then Rachel Armstrong is next, the house manager for the Mercy One Children's Hospital location of Ronald McDonald House Charities, and a guest of Scott Bennett. And then we have Deborah Thompson. She is the founder and president at DHT Consulting and Training, LLC, and a guest of Michael Wolmerman in the back there. And then Pramod Chalil, a consulting partner with Zenzar Technologies in Urbandale, and a guest of Kyle McCormick here in the middle. So thank you, guests. Appreciate it. There is nowhere in the world today. I saw Doug Salzgiver before the meeting and asked if he'd been stuck at home where his photos are at. But he said that he did send one to Kitty, but I think she screened it and didn't want it up on the screen. So we don't have to deal with that today. But a reminder to send in your photos from all the great places you traveled to, and we will have a little fun with those for Where in the World. So with nowhere in the world today, we have time for everyone's favorite segment, Rotary Law. Look at this, cheers. It's only taken me 10 months to convince you guys this is good stuff. Rotary Law and Disorder, my attempt at a little bit of humor in my own legal profession every week. And so the Ronald McDonald House and what they do is obviously not a setting for any sort of humor. But given the Ronald McDonald name, McDonald's, the lawsuit, McDonald's, the restaurant, is ripe with famous lawsuits. And I am not going to give you the history of the famous hot coffee lawsuit that everyone talks about. Incidentally enough, that was actually a pretty legitimate lawsuit. I use that in voir dire when I pick juries, and I usually like, if I'm on the defense side, to ask who's heard of that, and then I get the person talking about how ridiculous lawsuits are. They don't want to award any money, so that's how I use that. But that was actually a legitimate lawsuit, and the woman was fairly injured. So, but the one I'm going to talk to you about was from November 2018 in South Florida. Cynthia Kisner and Leonard Werner filed a $5 million class action lawsuit against McDonald's. Does anyone want to guess why they filed that lawsuit?
Man, I'm overweight.
Good one, Jason. No, that would have been probably equally as humorous. They filed on behalf of customers who were charged the full price of a quarter pounder with cheese, even though they asked for it with no cheese. The case was premised on the idea that McDonald's was illegally tying the price of their quarter pounder with the price of the cheese. And after all, they said in the lawsuit, McDonald's does offer a hamburger for one price and then a cheeseburger for a slightly higher price. So clearly the two are separate. And so they said that McDonald's, again, was they were harmed on behalf of them and millions of like them that have ordered a quarter pounder with cheese with no cheese. I'm not sure that's a very popular order, but at any rate, a creative lawsuit, but not ultimately successful. In dismissing the suit, U.S. District Court Judge William Dimitrilis held that the plaintiffs failed to state a claim, stating a pleading must contain a short and plain statement of the claim showing that the pleader is entitled to relief. This pleading standard does not require detailed factual allegations, but it does demand more than an unadorned, quote, the defendant unlawfully harmed me accusation. And in layman's terms, what he said was Kinsner and Werner failed to show how they were actually harmed by paying full price for a quarter pounder with cheese. In less formal language, he called the lawsuit absurd, and he continued, under any common sense analysis, there is no market for a customer to come into a McDonald's restaurant and order a slice or two of cheese as a product that is separate and distinct and independent from any other product or menu item. Nor is there a separate product market for a customer to order a slice of tomato or a slice of lettuce or a slice of pickle. So ultimately, the case was quickly dismissed, again, although creative. So be prepared to pay the same price for your quarter pounder with cheese, even if you ask for no cheese at McDonald's. Although I do recommend ordering the fries with no salt. I don't know if anyone's ever done that, because then you get the fresh fries, right, and then you can salt them yourself. So I've done that before. All right, with those introductions out of the way, Judy McCoy Davis will now introduce our keynote speaker for today. Judy.
Good afternoon. I am really pleased to do this introduction for two reasons. First, Paige Moore is the CEO of the Ronald McDonald House here in Central Iowa. And I can't think of a cooler, better organization to work with. And I could wax on forever about this organization that really is there to keep families together, families who have critically ill children. But you're not here to hear me talk about it. You're here to hear her talk about it. So I want to talk a little bit about Paige herself. Paige was born in Manchester, Iowa. She went to Wartburg College, and then she got her master's in public health administration from the University of Iowa School of Public Health. And that eventually led her to Des Moines, where she worked for Unity Point Hospital. And it was in that position that I first met her when I went to work for the Ronald McDonald House to help them raise funds for their second Ronald McDonald House here, the one inside Mercy One. And Paige was on the board of directors. And I was really impressed with her because she was a young, dynamic leader, and she really understood what our community was about and was excited to be part of it. She helped in many organizations such as Juvenile Diabetes, Lead Des Moines, and she was just a real part of the community. But what I was most impressed was that when Brenda Miller retired, and many of you may remember Brenda as being a member of this club, but she retired in 2024, and the board didn't have to look far to find her replacement. They found it right there on the board with Paige. And what Paige does is Paige really understands the need and the necessity to combine strong back-of-house operations with a caring, compassionate, mission-driven organization. And she does a fantastic job. Paige lives in Ankeny. She has her husband Tony and her little daughter, not little daughter anymore, I realize, but I knew it was a little daughter. She's now 9 years old, Harlow. But what I really found interesting about Paige when we've talked over the years is she said one of her interests when she relaxes is to watch classic movies. Classic movies from the 1990s. And Paige, that made me realize that you're going to be talking to a lot of folks today who classic movies are a little bit older. But I'll tell you, if we could clone young leaders in this city, Paige is one that we should clone. Please welcome Paige Moore.
Thank you so much for having me today. And the lovely introduction, I really appreciate that. To clarify, I do also love classic movies. Singing in the Rain is one of my favorite movies. I'm a huge Frank Sinatra, Rat Pack fan, so Those are classic movies to my daughter now, the 90s and 2000s. So that's where that came from. I'm really honored to be here today, and thank you for allowing us to bring a couple of our critical team members as well. Before I get into any of my part of the presentation, I want to show you a brief video that talks a little bit about what the Ronald McDonald House is and how it supports families.
Kids get their sense of security from their parents, and they're going to feed off of whatever emotion they have or whatever presence they have. So if mom and dad are stressed, they're stressed. If mom and dad are upset, the kids are going to be upset. You try to normalize their life with this disease as much as possible. No one wants to leave and be an incredible distance from their child in this period, but having a place where you can take turns and go get a good night's sleep, where you can come and somebody's prepared a meal for you, or you can literally just go take a shower and have a moment. Sometimes those moments turn into, I need a place where I can let down and actually cry and let go of this heavy emotion that I've been carrying since the moment we walked in the doors of this hospital and learned that my child has cancer. It provides so many pieces of the care that we want to provide. Kids get their sense of security from their parents, and they're take a shower and have a moment. Sometimes those moments turn into, I need a place where I can let down and actually cry and let go of this heavy emotion that I've been carrying since the moment we walked in the doors of this hospital and learned that my child has cancer. It provides so many pieces of the care that we want to provide. There's only so many things that we as a children's hospital can do in providing the medical care. To be able to take part of this burden off families is so important in their overall journey, no matter how short or how long. This impacts people every single day, and you will never be able to measure how great a gift this is.
Before we jump into it, just a quick show of hands. How many of you are familiar with Ronald McDonald House, either globally or here locally? Fantastic. Okay, I love to see that. All right, so I just want to share a bit of information, overview of who we are and what we do. You can see our purpose, mission, and vision up here. So we really exist to make sure that we're taking care of the families who have children that are receiving medical care here in central Iowa. So primarily, you think of Blank Children's Hospital, Mercy One Children's Hospital, but we serve lots of other medical facilities in the area as well, including the Iowa Clinic, Orchard Place, Infinity Neurology, lots of different partners that we have throughout the community. So we work really hard to provide essential services that remove barriers that those families may be facing while their child is receiving that medical care. And we want to make sure that we are providing the family with what they need to help support their child and ensure the best outcomes for their child. We have two houses here in the Des Moines area. Most people are familiar with the Blank House. You're seeing a photo of that up here. This is the original location. It was built in 1981, so our 45th anniversary is this year. We're very, very proud of that. This house here was built in 2017 thanks to Hubble Construction Extreme Build project. You may have remember seeing that on the news. We were the fortunate recipient of one of their extreme build projects. And so we went from a 12-bedroom house to an 18-bedroom house. And if you think about what services and what the house looks like, it really is like a residential home, but much, much larger. So 18 rooms, laundry facilities, kitchen, playroom area. We try to make it as home-like as possible for those families. And sometimes the patients, because sometimes if they're outpatient or not currently in the hospital, then they are also staying with us as well. So we like to make it as friendly and family-centered as possible. So these are a few of the photos of the inside. Our upstairs great room where we have movies and popcorn. This is our volunteer kitchen down here. And then this is what one of our standard bedrooms looks like. Our second house opened in January of 2020 inside Mercy One. So most people are familiar with the Blank House. Not as many are familiar with the Mercy One house because it is inside the hospital. But this provides a very unique opportunity for us. There are only about 15 or so Ronald McDonald houses out of the 350 plus around the world that are in a hospital, and we're fortunate to have one of those. So this house is almost the same size as the Blank House. We have 17 bedrooms in that house. And same situation, we try to make it as home-like as possible. So here you can see this is the entrance when you come off the elevator. This is our family or great room. When you walk in, there's a beautiful fireplace that's really nice. We have our Christmas tree there in the winter, so really making it home-like. You can see an example of a room down here in the bottom corner, and then this would be the kitchen and part of the dining area in the Mercy One house. On your table, I provided a couple of printouts, and one of them is our 2025 impact report. I have it up on the slides here as well, but feel free to kind of browse through this. But these are some of our key metrics that we're measuring to track our success and how we're able to help families through our services. One of our big volunteer programs and needs is meals. Have any of you ever cooked a meal at a Ronald McDonald House before? A couple of you. Okay. So our goal as an organization is to serve one hot, fresh cooked meal every single day. So 365 days a year, and we have 2 houses. So take that times 2. You can imagine that's a lot of volunteers that we need. And so Caroline, who is here with us, does a phenomenal job of coordinating all of our volunteer activities, but the meal program is our largest volunteer need that we have. So families, companies, friend groups, church groups, you name it. There's lots of different kinds of groups that come in and cook a meal for our families. In 2025, we had just under 1,100 families that we served, and we provided a total of 10,146 nights. So our occupancy was about 80%, which is kind of the sweet spot, 80 to 85%. Our average length of stay was 9 nights, but our longest consecutive stay was 365. That family is still here with us. They've been here for 700 plus nights. I think we're coming up on 800 pretty soon. But their child is receiving critical medical care here in the area, and they're not from the area, and so we provide that housing for them. And so we're really proud to be able to serve them. We also provide to-go meals, so it's not just the meals that we serve inside the house, but people can come and take meals and go back to the hospital or the healthcare facility. And in last year, we served 1,181. And then down in the right-hand corner, you can see we're not just serving families from central Iowa or even Iowa. Just in 2025 alone, we served families from 68 different counties in Iowa, 28 different states around the nation, and 9 different countries. So we really are serving an international population. That was kind of surprising to me. I didn't necessarily think of Des Moines as a medical tourism destination, but we have a really special partnership with Infinity Neurology, and they have patients that are coming from all around the world to receive care. And so we've had the opportunity to serve families from every single continent, which is really neat for us. It costs us, on average, $132 per family per night to run the house. So our annual cost was just under $1.7 million in 2025. Some families are able to contribute a bit to their stay. So 1.3% of our total annual cost was provided by our families. But we don't keep track. We don't bill or invoice or ask them for that. If they're able to make a donation, that's wonderful. And if not, we're glad that we were able to serve them. We also collect pop tabs. Have any of you collected pop tabs for the Ronald McDonald House before? Okay. This is one of the longest standing fundraisers for the Ronald McDonald House organization, and in 2025 we collected 8.7 million pop tabs. And it's not a huge fundraiser for us. We made just under $4,300 from that, but the best part of that is it's a huge awareness builder for us. So we have elementary, middle, high schoolers who are having competitions, among their classrooms to see who can collect the most pop tabs. We partner with the Iowa Beef Council for the Governor's Charity Steer Show. They collect hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of pop tabs. It's amazing. So we will take your pop tabs at any time. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our volunteers. We had 1,086 volunteers last year that donated almost 9,000 hours. And if you do the math, that equates to about $160,000 of savings in labor cost for us. So for us, that's huge, because then we're able to take that and transition it into our services that we're providing to our families. This is our county map, and I love this visual. Judy and I are actually just talking about how powerful this can be. Because if you look, Polk County, we've served 2289 families, but there are only 3 counties in Iowa that we have not served. And so since we opened in 1981, you can see we've tracked the families from every single county that we serve. So when we're going out and talking about our services, we can really talk about we're making a huge impact here in central Iowa, but also across the entire state. And you have a copy of that as well in your packet. I want to share, this is our full-time team. We have 10 full-time team members. Myself, we have a director of operations and an assistant director of operations. We have an events coordinator, and we'll talk about that in a moment. We have 5 events that we host throughout the year. We have our volunteer and community engagement coordinator, Carolyn, who's here with us today, and a marketing coordinator. And then our house operations, we run 24/7. And so at our Mercy One house, we have Rachel, who is there during the day, and then Quinn, who's there in the evening. At the Blank house, we have Alex during the day, and Beth, who's there in the evening. And then we also have 13 part-time staff members who help cover weekends, holidays, provide extra set of hands to the house managers if they need extra help. And then we just most recently hired a part-time housekeeper, which we're really excited about.
Is it Scott?
If Scott were interested, I would hire him in a second. This is our board of directors. We have a wonderful board of directors. Right now I have 23 directors, so I'm missing our most recent one, but our executive committee you can see there at the top. Our current president is Jonathan Musser. He is a realtor in the area. Past president is Terry Nielsen. He's the president of Raccoon Valley Bank, and he's been engaged in the house for about 8 years now. Jed Pedersen works with Couvert. He's our president. Kate Nickerson with RSM, she's our treasurer. And then Alec Wilcox with Cushman & Wakefield is our secretary. And then we have other board members as well. So we have Nick Callison, Andrea Chase, Brian Douglas, Dr. Tracy Eckhart, who is a pediatric intensivist at Unity Point. She's our Unity Point representative on the board. Jason Evans, Matt Farber, John Hummel, Kirsten Martins, Chris Martins, Tim Moore, Dr. Matt Petty, who is a hospitalist with Mercy. He's our Mercy One representative. And he is leaving the area, and so we have a social worker from the Mercy Hospital that will be joining us. Matt Reisman, Dave Roberts, Lisa Soifer, Drew Strube, Ben Umtham, Ty Weiss, and Kevin Mosmansky. There we go. Okay. So I mentioned we have 5 fundraising events throughout the year. I think one of the most common misconceptions is that we're fully funded by McDonald's, and that is not the case. They are our founding partner, our forever partner. They are definitely very close and important to us. Our McDonald's, we have 55 stores in the area that support our chapter. They support between 18 and 22% of our revenue each year. So the remaining roughly 80% is up to us to raise to continue providing those services. And one of the key ways that we do that is through our fundraising events. And we actually just had one yesterday. So we're coming off the golf event, which was awesome yesterday. In the spring, we have an event called Pearls and Pours. It's down at Curate in the East Village. It's a lot of fun. We just had our golf outing yesterday. It was our 45th. So that golf outing started when the chapter started. It's our longest standing fundraiser. In the fall, we have Rondon, which is out in Adel. We also have our Sporting Clays tournament, which will be in New Virginia this year. And then kind of our closeout event for the year is our Red Tide Gala, which is the first weekend in November. And so if you can imagine, that's why we have a full-time events coordinator, because this is a year-round job to ensure that these are running well and that we're raising those funds for our families. Same thing with volunteers. We need lots and lots of volunteers to help at these events. If you're interested, come talk to Caroline. So I mentioned it's our 45th anniversary. I just wanted to show you a few pictures of what we looked like historically. So in the top left-hand corner here, this is the original house from 1981. There were 12 bedrooms in that house. It got a few facelifts over the years, and in the late 90s we did an expansion, which is the gray picture in the top right hand there. And as Judy mentioned, that's when I was on the board, so I remember coming and sitting in here and being part of the previous house. And then in 2017, we had the extreme build, which you see down here at the bottom, which is the house that we have now. And in 2020, we opened up our Mercy One house. Along with our 45th anniversary, we are also embarking on a capital campaign this year. So I just shared a few of the things that we would like to accomplish with our capital campaign to enhance those services for our families. One of the biggest is our outdoor space. You saw in the video kind of the aerial view of the blank house. We have a very small playground right now, a nice outdoor space. But as our patient population and our families have changed over the years, so has our need for recreational space outside. So we're going to be about doubling the size of our outdoor space and putting in new, inclusive, accessible equipment, a basketball court, and trying to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all ages and the families while they're staying with us. We're also adding a shower room in our blank house. Not only do we provide overnight services, but we also provide day guest services. Some of our families want to sleep in the room with their child, but we know that they also need that reprieve. And so they're able to come to the house from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., use laundry facilities, get a meal, kind of meet some of those basic needs. And so one of those is also showering and being able to feel refreshed. And so we are going to be adding a shower room in our blank house specifically dedicated to them. We're also looking at upgrading our refrigerators, our freezers, so that we can take in more food donations, that we have that capacity for them. Providing translation services over the phone and virtual. We have in person now, but like I said, we're serving patients and families from all around the globe. So having those services is very important. And then enhancing our safety, doing some fun art projects inside the house, really just coming into that new era of our house. And then finally, here's a few examples. So down in the right-hand corner, you can see the rendering of the playground that we will be installing, the new shower room, appliances, and then Ben Shu, if any of you are familiar with him, he's a local muralist. He did a mural for us in our playroom at the blank house, and then he has this concept up here in the top right-hand corner that will just really make it a fun place for kids to be. And then finally, Ronald McDonald House as an entire organization is going through a brand modernization. And so our logo is changing, our look is changing, and we're really excited for that. Our chapter will transition October 15th. So I can't show it to you right now, but be on the lookout mid-October for a new look to the Ronald McDonald House. There are lots of different ways to get involved in the house, and I've listed a few of those up here. If you want to volunteer, follow in Scott's footsteps. If you would like to donate tangible goods from our wish list, or if you want to come to an event, there are lots of different ways that you can get involved and support the house through time, talent, treasure, whatever fits you and your giving needs the best. And with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions. Yes?
How are families selected, or is there a waiting list? What's the situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. So how are families selected and if there's a waiting list. So for each chapter handles it differently. For our chapter, they are referred by the medical facility. So typically a social worker or a nurse, child life occasionally will be involved as well. But in their kind of admission and conversation with the families, they will assess, is the family from a ways away? Do they have resources or somewhere to stay? And so once they make that determination, they will refer them to the house. And then that is where our house managers come in. So we do a full background check, and then once that is passed and they've been cleared, they're welcome to come to the house. We occasionally will have a waiting list. We are very fortunate though that in the span of about 4 years, we tripled our capacity. So we went from 12 bedrooms in 2016 to 35 bedrooms in 2020. But as you can see, at 80% occupancy, we are quickly gaining steam and serving more and more families. And so in the future, we may, who knows, we may need another house, we may need expansion, something like that. But we are fortunate right now that we don't frequently have a waiting list. If we do, we have partnerships with a couple of the hotels in the Des Moines area. And so we're able to accommodate the family at the hotel. And then once we have a room that's available, they're welcome to come to the house. Oh, okay.
How many other Ronald McDonald houses are there in Iowa?
In Iowa, there are 3 houses. There are 3 chapters. So Central Iowa, our chapter, Iowa City. You guys have been on the University of Iowa Hospital campus. It's right by Carver. And then there is a hospital in a house in Sioux City. Yes.
Do you have occasional requests for periodic visits by the same family? In other words, a child may need periodic assistance here, and how you reconcile that with your basic inventory of people who are staying for a given time?
Sure. So yes, we do have families that return. Several of our families, I'll use ChildServe as an example if you're familiar with ChildServe. A lot of those kiddos live at ChildServe. That's because of their complex medical needs. And so we will have families who have a child that's at ChildServe and they'll come once a week. I'm looking at Rachel because she can probably answer this better. But we'll have families that come, once a week to visit their child that's there. We also have families whose child maybe is receiving treatment that requires, let's say, an ongoing infusion or follow-up appointments or things like that. And so they will come and stay with us as well. So we do have several families that we know and have seen for many years, and it's always great to see them when they're back in the house. Yes?
I don't have as much as a question as a thank you for everything you do. My mother stayed at Ronald McDonald House in 1984 when my sister was born.
Oh my goodness.
And I know that as a 5-year-old, I thought it was very unfair that my mom and your baby sister got McDonald's every night. But yes, so just thank you for everything you do.
Oh, thank you.
It's close to my own family, so.
Oh, we in healthcare, right? We love to hear those stories and we hate to hear those stories, right? Because we would love to not have to provide the services if children weren't sick, but we're so grateful that we can be there for families in those times of need and that we are able to provide as much as we can to them.
And it was thankfully just a couple days.
Oh, good. Okay. Yes.
Is there an aging out of people who would qualify to come and utilize your services? Say the child, or what happens, I guess, if the child gets older?
Sure.
Or who is that clientele, I guess?
Yes, so the question was, does a child age out, essentially, or a family age out of using the services? So I'm glad you asked that. One of our requirements is that the child who's receiving care is 21 years or younger. So the family must be must have a child who's receiving medical care that's 21 years or younger.
Do you have any grant funding sources, anything like that? And what is the genesis of McDonald's getting involved in this?
Love that. So we do not participate in federal, state grant funding. We do apply for lots of family foundation or private funding granting, and we've been fortunate to receive some great funds from that. The genesis of McDonald's getting involved. So So what I've learned or been told is that the very first house was in Philadelphia. And it was founded by kind of a trifecta of people. So one of them was Dr. Aubrey. She was a hematology oncology physician at the Children's Hospital there. One of them was a patient's father whose child was receiving care from Dr. Audrey, and when he visited the hospital, he saw parents sleeping on the floor or on the couch or wherever they could find a space. And then one of them was a local general manager of McDonald's. So the father, through his medical experience with his child, saw the need. Dr. Audrey also understood that, like Dr. Wood said in the video, the hospital would love to be able to provide these services and help support these families, but that's not within their capacity. And so she knew that that was definitely a need. And then they asked the local McDonald's general manager to help provide some funding to get the house started. And legend goes that he said, yes, I will, but you need to include the McDonald's name in some way, shape, or form in that. And the Ronald McDonald House was born from that. They partnered with the Philadelphia Eagles, and so that was a huge part of their fundraising strategy as well with the early chapters. We are one of the first, if not the first chapter that was established in a town that does not have a professional sports team. So when they saw the success of it in Philadelphia and wanted to duplicate it, they specifically looked for cities that had professional teams that could support it like the Eagles did. And so we're actually kind of groundbreaking, if you will, here in Central Iowa. We're one of the first chapters that was able to be established and obviously has been successful and sustainable without that partnership.
Are you saying the Cubs are not actually a professional sport?
I'm a huge Cubs fan. I would never dare to say that. Ever.
Ask by a card.
Yes.
Kind of following up on that. So then did the local McDonald's group help make this happen here in
Yes.
Central Iowa? How did that come together?
Yes, so once the original house was established and McDonald's was tied in, that's why we call them our founding and forever partner. Because again, as they work to expand the organization and establish chapters in other cities, they look to duplicate the model that they had in Philadelphia. And so that's when they would go to the McDonald's and partner with them on that. So actually, Ronald McDonald House Globals, our oversight team for the entire international organization, are employees of McDonald's. They're housed in the McDonald's headquarters in Chicago. It's very closely tied into them. And the way that it works now is that each chapter has a specific group of stores that support them. So we have 55 stores here in the Central Iowa area. That penny per Happy Meal, that's a national fundraiser for the Ronald McDonald House. Every Happy Meal you buy, 1 penny comes to the Ronald McDonald House chapter. So from those 55 stores, those pennies funnel into our chapter. And it's one of my important roles is to be kind of the liaison between the organization and the McDonald's owner operators, because they do a lot to support us. They can do additional fundraisers through their stores. Many of them are sponsors or participants in our events. We have to have a McDonald's owner operator on our board. That's required for every Ronald McDonald House chapter. So they're still very closely tied into us. Yes.
You said some of the funding comes from McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
In your fundraising, you have to educate people that we're not getting all our money from McDonald's.
Yes. Yes.
Because that could be an assumption, because I
Yep.
probably thought that.
It's a very common misconception. And one of the things that we've been doing over the past year or so is really brand awareness, who we are, what we do, and along with that, what is our partnership and relationship with McDonald's and what is it not. And we are forever grateful for McDonald's. They're wonderful. Our owner operators here are wonderful and very supportive of us. But like I said, it's about 80% of our revenue that then we need to raise internally to continue supporting those services. Yes.
I'm noticing on the families served by county, you have a house in Johnson County, you have a house in Polk County, and one in Woodbury County. I'm just curious as why the Polk County is so disproportionately high in serving families compared to Johnson and Woodbury. Also, the cluster of counties around Polk are higher than Johnson or Woodbury, and they both have great hospitals.
So this is just for our chapter. So that's why you're seeing that cluster in central Iowa, because this is just for the Ronald McDonald House of Central Iowa, the number of families from the counties that we've served. So if you were to do the same map for Johnson County for the Iowa City chapter, you would probably see a very similar distribution where a lot of that clustering is in the eastern part of the state. Same thing with the Sioux City chapter. Yeah, good question. Yeah.
Do you order your quarter pounder with cheese?
Good question. Good question.
This is not to leave this room. I don't eat McDonald's. Yeah, love them, wonderful people, don't eat it.
That's gonna cost you a lot of money.
That's why I said this cannot leave
So
this
I'll keep
room.
it a
This cannot
secret.
leave. Any other last questions? I know we're running out. Yes.
My friend here wants to know if you accept beer tabs as well as pop.
Yes, yes. We say can tabs. Yes. Yep, yes, we definitely do. There may or may not be some really great fraternities and sororities that support us in that. So, yeah. Well, thank you all very much.
Paige, thank you for joining us today and sharing more about the incredible impact your organization makes on the families and our community every day. Thanks for that meaningful work and taking time to be with us at the Rotary Club Des Moines. It was well appreciated. Upcoming speakers, as we do every week, a couple of reminders. Next week, our own Leslie Schaefer, the Executive Director of the Red Cross of Northern and Central Iowa chapters, will be here. And then on June 11th, we will talk a little baseball with Randy Wayhofer, the General Manager for the Iowa Cubs. And on June 18th, Amy Jennings, the Executive Director at LEAD DSM, will be here to tell us what's going on over there. Fellowship groups, which have been a great impact this year in terms of creating more fellowship groups. We have a number of upcoming ones. Thursday, June 11th, the pickleball group is going to get together from 4 to 6 at Valley View Park in West Des Moines. See Sam Sodders for more information. Save the date for Thursday, June 25th. I think there was more information about this in your newsletter this week. But it will be a Bourbon Walk, Iowa, a spirited journey, and we'll have a guided tasting experience across the state, and that will be without leaving Des Moines. So again, look to your newsletter for more information, and thanks to Christy Edwards for organizing that. And then on Saturday, June 11th, Prairie Meadows Rotary Day at the races. We're going to have some fun out at Prairie Meadows on Saturday, July 11th, and more details on that to come. And then finally, our last morning fuel for my Rotary year will be June 9th, featuring Susan Scharnberg at Freedom Blend Coffee from 9 to 10. So thank you for being with us today and for being a vital part of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. Thank you to our guests who joined us. We are welcome back anytime. Stay true to the good. We are adjourned.